Hi, everybody, and welcome to Renew. Tonight, we have DeAnna Bray with us. It's going to be an amazing night. You guys will probably notice that Julie is absent. She did have a family issue that came up, and she is also experiencing some technical difficulties getting on. So we're hoping that Julie will be able to join us for the recap of season one of all the guests that appeared on Renew. Um, I want to take a second and let Khalif welcome DeAnna and the viewers to the show, and then I will go ahead and introduce you guys to DeAnna and let her share an overview of her journey, and then we're going to get questions from you guys, and we have questions of our own for her. Khalif?
Everybody, just want to welcome you to the show and thank you guys for coming out. It's going to be a special show. We have a great guest, and then we have a extension of the show, as Rob mentioned, so I'm really excited for that. And DeAnna, I just want to thank you for being a part of the show and actually closing out the first season. I love watching and following your journey, and I'm looking forward to the show with you.
Thank you for having me.
As Khalif said, this is the season finale for season one of Renew, and it's a very special episode for me because it's my final appearance on Renew as a co-host. I won't be returning next week, and I couldn't think of anyone that I would rather have on as a guest for this special show than DeAnna Bray. Her story is amazing, and her and I have become very, very good friends. She's had battles, heartaches, and struggles, but you know what? She always gets through it, and she always has a positive attitude, and she always finds the good in things. DeAnna, thank you so much for coming on the show. I want to welcome you too, and if you want to go ahead and just share a little bit about what your journey's been about, the good, the bad, the struggles, that kind of a thing, share that with us, and then we're going to get questions from the viewers and from Khalif and I, and again, welcome to the show.
Okay, thank you. Again, thank you both for having me. We miss Jules. Hopefully she'll be back. I guess I can just start back. I didn't have a lot of struggles with my weight till I got in my 30s. And as Belinda said last week, I really still at this point don't know where all of that stems from. Unfortunately, you can go to therapy for anorexia and bulimia and things like that, but there's really no place that talks to people about overeating and binging and food addiction. But I think back, and I believe my grandparents raised me, and my grandmother was like the love of my life. And I lost her in 1994, and I really think, from just looking back at things, that's where my eating really got out of control. I think just trying to fill the void of not having her in my life. And it just spiraled out of control from there. And I've been on every diet imaginable. Jenny Craig let me have their program free for 2 years after our local newspaper had done a story on myself and a friend that I had staying here that was anorexic. We were trying to help each other. And Entertainment Tonight actually came to the house and did a 3-night story on ET about the two of us. And at that time, I was doing Atkins, and Jenny Craig had seen the story and offered me that. I tried that for 2 years. That didn't work. I have done just about everything, Weight Watchers. I've had injections of something, whatever it was, they said it was going to help me lose weight. I've been through hypnosis, and it wasn't until about 2008 when I had the lap band surgery. I talked to Ron, which is my fiance, and he had already been through, we've been together almost 9 years, and he has been through 9 or 10 major surgeries with me. My knees both have been replaced. I've had 3 back surgeries. I've had a neck surgery, which limits me with my exercise, so I don't really do a lot of exercising right now. But the lap band did not work for me. I had a different surgeon at that time, and I asked him if it would be possible to do the gastric bypass, and he told me absolutely not. Your food addiction is too bad. He said, if you can't do it with the lap band, you're not going to be able to do it with a gastric bypass, and he refused to do it. And I struggled and struggled and struggled with the lap band, and I ended up walking out of his office in tears one day, and I decided that I was not going to go back. So I found my new surgeon, Dr. Shea, and he actually went in and fixed something that was wrong with my lap band. And I still had no luck with it. And I talked to him about the gastric bypass, and he said, absolutely, we can do it. So they removed the lap band in June of 2012, and August 21st of 2012, I had my gastric bypass. And it was miserable. I'm not going to lie, it was absolutely miserable. People that have seen my videos saw me for 5 weeks crying, saying I wish I had not done it. And there was just so many things going on. And then all of a sudden, everything started getting really good. And here and there through the journey, I've had problems not being able to hold food down, etc. So on April the 30th, just about 6 weeks ago, I had revision surgery to my gastric bypass. Was basically the entire gastric bypass completely done over again. But this time he removed my entire stomach except for my pouch, just like they would do in a sleeve surgery. I had a fistula that attached itself from my pouch back to my old stomach, and that was the main reason he removed the stomach, was to make sure there was nothing there for that fistula to attach itself to again. So last week I had another endoscopy because I'm still having trouble keeping food down, and he dilated my pouch, and I've done really well with my eating until today, and I'm back not being able to keep much down. So he said everything looks good with the surgery, so I think it's just me trying to get, acquainted with this little tiny pouch.
So when you talked in the beginning, when you were sharing part of your story, and you was talking about the 2 new knee replacements and the back surgeries and so on and so forth, did that come from other issues, or did that come from weight-related issues?
It was an injury. I was a chef at a restaurant, and I slipped in grease and injured my back pretty bad the first time. And I actually had my neck surgery first. And then in '97, I was lifting a box, and I messed my back completely up again. And I have been disabled since 1997 because of the back. A lot of it is, I'm sure, the weight does not help it. I was hoping, losing all this weight. I was 331.8 on my surgery August 21st, and this morning I was 223.4, so I'm down 108.4 pounds, which is wonderful.
Amazing.
And with all the problems I had and the revision, I would not trade it for anything. I'm so glad that I did this surgery. It's not for everyone, and you have to work at it. And it's a day-by-day thing, but I'm very glad that I did it. My whole life is different now.
So what, excuse me, just describe what a typical day was like for you. I like to find that out about different people. When you were in your 330s, or even if you were ever heavier, what was a typical day for you? My
highest was 355. And it was absolutely miserable. I mean, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't walk to the mailbox. I'd walk the dog to the end of the driveway and come inside and have to sit down and gasp for air trying to breathe because it was so hard to breathe. And of course, I've had sleep apnea, which as of my revision surgery, I have not needed my CPAP. So that's a new NSV that I've had. I'm hoping when I go back to the sleep apnea doctor, they're going to remove me off the CPAP completely. But that's also miserable, having to sleep with a mask, every night to breathe. And before I met Ron, I mean, it was very depressing. I was diagnosed clinically depressed. And I lived here alone at that time, and I wouldn't answer my phone. I wouldn't get out of bed, except to go to the kitchen to get a bunch of food to take back to the bedroom with me, to eat while I was watching television. And a lot of the stuff that I did in the story for the news press, they're getting ready to update me again they're gonna do a new article in the paper and update me since I've had this surgery. But it's just little stories. Rob and I have talked about, you know, the food addiction, and Ron gave me permission to talk about, you know, his struggle. He's a recovering alcoholic, and it's the same thing. It's the food addiction, the alcohol addiction, the drug addiction. I mean, it's all the same. And you know, I guess there's a rooting to that, and I'm really not sure, you know, at this point. And the surgery didn't take care of my food addiction. It just took care of how much that I could eat. And I do deal a lot with the head hunger.
Well, I do have some questions for you about the Entertainment Tonight special, and I'm going to ask those a little bit later because we do have some questions coming in from people, and I do want to get to these. Sherry Ann, Khalif's lovely wife, asked the following question. I know the first doctor wasn't willing to do what you wanted done. Looking back, do you think he had your best interest in mind, or do you think his perspective was mistaken?
I think the perspective, he was off on the perspective. There were 3 times when I went into the office, and if I didn't lose a half of a pound, he got very nasty with me. And I often took it as, you know, he took it personal, like it was reflecting on him that I was not succeeding, you know, with the weight. But and the reason I didn't have the sleeve was basically the lap band. I could eat anything I wanted. If I wanted to go to McDonald's and have a burger and fries, I could still go to McDonald's and have a burger and fries. With the sleeve, the reason I chose not to do the sleeve is because you can still eat sweets and, you know, carbs. You're not supposed to, you know, you're supposed to make better choices. But I mean, I'm 10 months out and I'm scared to try to eat a bite of bacon or, you know, all those danger foods that they tell you not to do anything with, because I don't want to have the dumping syndrome. I have not had that in 10 months, and it's because I try to stick. Now I do have sugar-free stuff. I had a bowl of sugar-free ice cream today because it's the only thing I've been able to keep down all day. And sugar-free isn't always all completely sugar-free, but I'm not going to go and eat a regular bowl of ice cream in the fear of getting sick from that. But one of the examples that really did it with the first doctor was my brother, one of my brothers, committed suicide 2 years ago next week. And the next day I had an appointment, and I had left to go be with my family at my mom's. And I drove all the way back here to town to go make my appointment with the doctor. And of course I was crying and upset. And instead of that, he never even acknowledged that I was there upset about anything. And I had gained 1 pound. And he belittled me for gaining the pound and told me, you know, I was going to have to do this and I was going to have to do that. And I walked out in tears, and I called Ron and I said, I am not coming back here. This is the 3rd time that he's been so rude and nasty to me that I walked out crying. And I don't need a doctor treating me like that, you know, when I'm going through the struggles. That was the first thing my new surgeon said. He said, there will never be a blame game in this office. He said, I guarantee you will never walk out of here in tears.
That's so unprofessional of the other doctor, it seems. And you know what? I'm glad you made the change, because look how much better off you are.
Oh, absolutely. I love my surgeon. And actually, most of the problems I'm having right now are due to having my lap band surgery. It completely messed up my stomach.
And actually, with the 2 surgeries, Gassic Rose has a question. She asked, she wants you to talk about the differences between your eating before and now. You know, eating after the first surgery and then eating after this surgery.
Oh, this surgery. Hi, Mama Rose. Well, the first surgery, it was very slow going. It was about probably 2 months in, I was still eating yogurt. and soft food. I still was not able to eat any kind of soft meat, tuna fish, ground up chicken, anything. I just could not get it down. And I wasn't doing the sugar-free ice cream and things like that at that point because I was trying to get all the protein in. I do a lot of the protein shakes with the frozen fruit and my protein drinks. But when he did my revision surgery 6 weeks ago, he cut my pouch in half because I had a stricture in my pouch. And the only way he could get rid of the stricture was to cut the pouch in half and block off the part that was blocked. So now my stomach, he said, is exactly the size. I don't have one sitting here. But if you buy a bottle of cough medicine at the pharmacy and you get the little plastic cup on the top of it, he said that is almost exact size of my pouch right now. So it's a lot more restrictive this time than it was before.
We have a question coming in from Prairie Princess 1, Tina. And Tina asks, do you have a weight goal in mind?
Hi, Tina. I do. If I don't get there, I'm not going to be upset about it. But I would like to get to 165. My doctor says 155, but I'm 5'9.5", so I think that would be too little.
Oh, I didn't realize you were that tall.
Yes, 5'9.5".
Wow. I'm such a short person. I'm only 5'6". So. Actually, I have a question. It was actually something I was wondering when you did the video explaining about how small your pouch is now. Is there anything that your doctor has you doing to take in more nutrients since your pouch is smaller than even a typical patient?
He mainly he just told me to try to get the protein in through the shakes and the yogurts and things like that. And I'm supposed to be having about 2 to 4 ounces every 2 hours to try to get all that in a day. That's hard to do.
Yeah, I'm just trying to imagine that now, you know.
I'm not hungry a lot. I'm not physically hungry much. I have a lot of, like I said, the head hunger, you know, just the habit of, sometimes I'll walk to the refrigerator 15 times, you know, before it's noon, and I'll ask Ron, look at me, I'm just opening the refrigerator, looking in there, wanting something, but not really hungry, just the habit of going to the refrigerator.
We have a question coming in from a viewer, and it's Carrie. And Carrie asks, it says, hi, DeAnna. With your back surgery and your knee surgery, are you able to exercise? If you do exercise, what type of exercise do you do to help you with weight loss?
To date, since my first surgery in 10 months, I really have not done very much exercise. I'm having a lot of problems with my knees, and I do have a lot of pain in my back. It's hard to do a treadmill. I have one of those gazelles, and it's very hard for me to do that without aggravating my back and my knees. And I've fallen a couple times on my knees, so I've got to get my knees checked because there's something going on with that. I have a Wii. Ron bought me the Wii Fit for Christmas a few years back. And that Wii and I actually had some problems at the beginning because right after my surgery, when the doctor approved me to exercise, I got on the Wii Fit board, and it pretty much nicely told me on the screen that I was too big to play the game. So I had to put the Wii Fit away for a while. And it also told me that my inner body age was 73 years old. So I'm getting ready to try to tackle that again. And I can't do like jogging exercises. I could probably do like some low impact dancing type exercises. But as far as real exercise, I can't get on the ground at all because of my knees. But I hope to. My dream would be to run, but I don't know if that's in my future or not.
Did you run like in high school or college, or what is the
No,
kind
I
of
used to play
run?
tennis a lot. I was a very avid tennis player, and I loved to bowl. I used to bowl 2 or 3 leagues a week, and I miss being able to do all that. I could probably bowl now, but I have to walk up to the line and throw the ball. I can't, bowl the way I would like to bowl.
We have a question from our Zen Maiden 1. First, she wants you to know that you look great.
Thank you. Hey.
And she wants to know, how has your attitude changed about weight loss surgery, knowing what you know now about the mental part?
I would recommend it to anyone. And it's not easy. It's really not easy. Um, I thought I knew what to expect from the seminars and the meetings with my surgeon and talking to other people. I watched a live gastric bypass surgery on the internet so I could see exactly what they were going to be doing to me. And even with all of that, you have no idea how your body is going to react to that surgery. I was in so much pain for 5 weeks. The doctor could not find out what was causing this horrible pain in my stomach. I told the doctor after it was gone, and he talked about the revision surgery. The only thing I was worried about with the revision surgery was getting whatever that pain was back in my lower stomach. And I did get a little outbreak of shingles at that time, so they don't know if it was nerve pain that traveled from my back to my stomach, or they cut a hematoma out after the first surgery. It was about 10 days after the surgery, and I was hospitalized for 5 days after that and lockdown because of the shingles. But they never really did find out what the pain was, and I told my doctor I would rather die than ever feel that kind of pain in my stomach again. I mean, it was horrible, horrible pain.
We have a question coming in from Tina. Has an additional question, and her question is, are you having to deal with excess skin? And if so, what are your thoughts about plastic surgery?
Well, my arms are getting to the point where they bother me really bad. And I have no sleeves, but you can't see it, so I wasn't too worried about it. I would like to have my arms done, and luckily my surgeon who did my gastric bypass is also a reconstructive surgeon for weight loss surgery patients. So him and I are going to be talking about that in about a year. He said I have to wait a year. Luckily, I don't have a lot of it in the stomach area. So maybe a tummy tuck later on, but I think first I would be more willing to do the arms so I could wear sleeveless shirts here in Florida when it's 105 degrees outside. I don't like having to cover them, but I do. And of course, like all of us girls that have lost weight, gained weight, lost weight, gained weight, I'd also like to have the breast lift surgeon, the surgery for that.
Okay. Our next question comes from Susan, Taming the Food Beast. And see, I got your name right this time, Susan.
Hi, Susan.
She asks, how did your family react to you getting surgery? Were they for it or against it?
Well, my mom made me promise her when I chose lap band that I would never have gastric bypass. And I, at that time, promised her I would never do it. My brother Phil is a personal trainer and a nutritionist that lives in Fort Lauderdale. Unfortunately, he's too far away from me to help me a lot, with things with the gym and all. But it just, it got to the point when I hit 355 pounds, I told my mom I have to do something. If I don't do something now, I'm going to be 400, and then I'm going to be 450. And my mom kind of doesn't understand the food addiction. Her way of thinking was that I just stop eating the things bad that I was eating and I'd be able to lose the weight. But it is an addiction, and it's not that easy, to do that. Ron didn't want me to have it either. My fiance, he's been through 9 or 10 surgeries with me in 8.5 years, and he just did not want me having to go through major surgery again. But I fell in the hallway here in the house, and he could not pull me up. And I sat on the floor for probably over 30 minutes crying and screaming how fat I was. And I said, you're going to have to call a neighbor to come over here and help you get me off the floor. And he said, just bend your knees and I'll pull you up. But the problem is, once I get on the ground, even now with 108 pounds off, I cannot bend my knees enough for someone to get me up. So we had to call my next door neighbor, and he had to come over here, which was very embarrassing, to have to help Ron lift me off the floor. And when I stood up, after a few choice words I shouldn't have said, I told him, I am having gastric bypass surgery. This is it. Right now, today, I'm doing it. And after he had a couple meetings with the doctor, he got a little bit more comfortable with it. And even with the revision surgery, he's very happy. I mean, I'm doing things that, I've never been able to do in the time that Ron and I have been, together, because of the limitation on my weight of everything.
Well, I think one thing that you brought up that's interesting too is when you talked about your mother and how she said she wanted you to never have it. And I look at my parents who are in their late 70s, and people of that generation that are older, a little bit older than what we are. Back in the day, when you heard someone talk about weight loss surgery, I don't know the figures, I'm just throwing this out there, 1 in every 500 had their stomach stapled.
Right.
It wasn't done like it's done now, just like plastic surgery isn't done like it's done now. Everything has come in advance so far, and I know there's risk to these surgeries, and I've never had it, but that's common sense. And to know that there's risk to it, but the risks aren't as great now. But for the older generation, I still think they look at it as, some of them as a major danger, like it was back in the day, and others look at it as taboo, where, I don't want anybody to know that, my family member had that. And I'm not saying that was your mom's point.
Right.
I think that's how the older generation looks at it. Because back in the day, and from what I can remember, you had one choice, and that was having your stomach stapled, or whatever they called it. But you didn't have the myriad of choices that you have now.
Right. Well, part of my mom's thinking was that exact thing. Two of my 3 stepsisters had gastric bypass when it first was heard of. I mean, nobody really knew anything about it, and their stomachs were stapled. And my one stepsister almost died from the surgery, and she lost a massive amount of weight, but she's gained all the weight back now. And my mom, was just worried, probably, that she was scared something was going to happen to me during the surgery. One of my very good friends died on the table having gastric bypass, and thank God she's alive and down. She just had all the reconstructive surgeries and everything, and she looks awesome. But it was just that fear, of something happening to me during the surgery. I mean, when you're 331 pounds, I mean, anything could happen. I could have had a heart attack during the surgery. I mean, there were so many things that could go wrong.
Yeah. I want to tell you real quick that Nona Taylor has left a comment on here. It's not a question, it's a comment, and it says, "We love you, Aunt Dee, and we are so proud of you."
Hey, Nona, I love you guys.
And I wanted to share that because I would assume that's
Thank
family
you.
members.
That's my sweet niece.
Okay, great.
One of many.
So, DeAnna, I want to know what has been some of the major sources of support during your journey, from even back when you got the lap band that wasn't successful.
There really wasn't a lot when I had the lap band. I wasn't with Ron yet, and I guess I was with Ron then. I'm getting all my dates mixed up. It was the least evasive thing to do, and for some reason we just really were not worried about having a lap band surgery. And I think I lost about 60 pounds through a period of a year. And probably within 6 more months, I had gained all that back again. And right now, my mom is very glad that I had the surgery. I'm much healthier. I'm off of a lot of my medication. Like I said, I'm not using my CPAP machine anymore. I bought a bicycle. I can ride my bike, depending on how my knees are at the time. And I'm able to do things. I mean, I'm still disabled. I just had epidurals in my back Monday to try to alleviate the back pain. So I would and my brother Philip, Ron is my #1 support system, absolutely being here. And he knows what it's like to fight, with an addiction. And when I met Ron, he was an alcoholic, and he's done so well. He's been sober for almost 9 years. And I said, if he can do that, I can do this. And my brother Philip, he's my #2 supporter. He supports me all the way on this. Even being a personal trainer and a nutritionist, he knew I was in trouble. He knew that I had to do something, that I was not going to be able to do this on my own. And he supports me 150%.
We do have a question coming in from Glow Henderson, and she says, in general, with all you have been through, how do you feel physically?
Physically, other than the back and the knees, I feel wonderful. I do. I feel great. I got to the point through this 5 or 6 years period of time that I was so obese, and I couldn't do anything. Ron and I never went anywhere. I never felt like doing anything, and I know I have to exercise. And we have different things here in town. We have a night once a month called Music Walk. We walk downtown and we listen to all the bands on the street and the performers, in different places. And I can walk around downtown, and I might have to sit for a little bit, but at least we're getting out and doing things. Sometimes Ron just wants to be home because he works, and he works all day and wants to come home and rest, and I'm here at home, so I'm like, hey, let's, go do something. So it's kind of the opposite now. But physically, I feel really good, really good. Living life.
That's great. That's what it's about.
Yes.
So what would you say has been your biggest either disappointment or more regret on the journey?
I don't really have any regrets. I hated that I had to go through this again 6 weeks ago, but I sailed right through it. I had 100 pounds off. Surgery's a heck of a lot easier when you're not, morbidly obese. And, trying to go through that and heal. And this time, I mean, the only thing I could chalk it up to is that I had 100 pounds off this time. And the day of surgery, I was up in the chair on my laptop, and some of the people would come in the room and say, "Are you the patient?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." But I felt so good, doing it. I was worried, when I thought I was going to have a feeding tube. That was the main thing I was worried about, because he was going to attach a feeding tube to my old stomach for 2 months minimum, up to 3 months, and I was going to have all my nourishment through the feeding tube. So when I woke up from surgery and I reached over on that side and felt something, I thought, oh, brother, here we go. But it was my drain. And he said, rather than having you have the feeding tube, I removed your stomach, everything except your pouch. But I really don't have any regrets. I'm so glad I did it. Even I look back on those videos where I'm bawling my eyes out, saying, what did I do? I should have never have done this. I should have never have done this. I have no regrets.
Looks like we have some comments coming in, and I'm just going to share them because they're wonderful comments. Barbie Sands says, my sweet, sweet friend, we are so proud of you and we love you.
Hi, Barbie and Charles.
And Martha D says, DeAnna, you look amazing.
Thank you, Martha.
And we also have a question coming in from my dad, Toby, and that says, question for DeAnna. When are you getting married?
Well, that question is coming from my sweet fiance, Ron. My dad, Toby, is Ron. And I don't know, honey, that's up to you. We're ready. We're just right. The main reason we were supposed to get married November 12th of 2012. And unfortunately, in our society, I cannot afford to lose my Medicaid right now because of all the things I'm still going through. If we had gotten married, I would have never been able to have that revision surgery. So I'm just hoping to get to a point where I am physically and medically where I need to be, and the doctor says I don't think we're going to have to do anything else, and I can give up that part of my insurance, and then Ron and I can get married.
That'll be wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, we have a question coming in from Zen Maiden 1. And she wants to know, what things have you learned, most importantly, about life changes, and how will you approach food?
With food, I didn't hear the end of it.
It says, and how will you approach food?
Oh,
how will you approach it?
Well, right now I'm not having a problem with that because I can't eat the food. But one of the things I still find hard, and this was a thing with my mother, every time my mom came to town, it was, I'm taking you to Red Lobster, I'm taking you to Olive Garden for lunch. And I finally had to tell her, Mom, I cannot go out and eat, at restaurants, and especially now. And it's torture. I'm going to be totally honest about it. I mean, sometimes it's hard here at the house when Ron makes his plate, or my brother Philip was just here, and I wanted him to have some home-cooked meals, and I made a big pot of pot roast and potatoes and carrots, and I made fried pork chops with mushroom gravy and mashed potatoes, for him and Ron. And sometimes it's hard. There's been times since the revision surgery when Ron was in the kitchen cooking, I had to go back into the bedroom because I couldn't even stand to smell it. But right now, no restaurants. Have what I need at home, and that's what I have to concentrate on right now. Hopefully that answered the question.
We have a question coming in from Taylor Woods, 84, and she says, what advice would you give someone who is just starting their weight loss journey?
Oh, just do your research, make sure that you're choosing, a lot of people ask me, why didn't you do the sleeve? And as I mentioned earlier, I did not do the sleeve because I'm a carb addict. And I'm not a big chocolate person or a candy person. Put a box of Pop-Tarts down in front of me and they would be gone, the whole box. I mean, a week before surgery, I was walking past Ron's guitar room hiding Pop-Tarts in my pockets because I did not want him to know I was still eating those Pop-Tarts. I would sneak to the store and hide the box of Pop-Tarts. And I mean, it's the food addiction part of it. It's a struggle. I mean, and it's mine. The story they did on the paper in ET was the emotional eating. Being upset, being depressed, being hurt by something. When I was happy, usually I was okay, but being 355 pounds, you're not very happy. So the food consumed me. I could call in a to-go order at a restaurant and the person not know if I have a family of 4 here, which I was ordering 3 meals for me. And so this person didn't think I was going to eat all that food. I would yell in the background, hey, do you guys want bread and salad with that? And I was home alone.
Been there, done that.
Or go to Taco Bell and order enough food for 3 people and order 2 drinks so they would think 2 people were eating it. It's a horrible addiction. And the bad thing, like with Ron's alcohol, is we don't have alcohol in the house. So he's not tempted by that alcohol. But there's food everywhere. The pantry's full, the freezer's full, the refrigerator's full. And I'm not going to deprive him of certain things that he likes, because I'm doing this. I just have to be strong enough, of a person and not want to mess up my journey that, I don't eat that stuff.
We do have some other questions coming in, but I wanted to share, I remember months ago when you and I were sitting and we were chatting, and we talked about your interview with E.T. and when they came into the home and stuff. And when you sent me the DVD and the pamphlet, which you've shared that in videos on your channel for people that haven't seen it. The thing that pissed me off the most was that they, in a sense, and I'm not dogging E.T., they lied to you, or at least when they started running the ads coming up to the show's air date, they were talking about a 300-pound woman living with an anorexic. Yeah. And when you questioned them and said that's not the way it was supposed to be, oh, we're just doing that to get people to tune in.
That's
and
what they do.
That's the nature of the beast when it comes to...
It's the shock factor.
But they did kind of backhand you on that aspect because they would constantly show you eating food, but not really so that people could see what you were eating and it was something healthy.
Yeah, I was very upset with that because Melissa had been on Maury Povich and E.T. many, many times. I met her in an eating disorder hospital. I locked myself in for a 30-day program in the town close by here, thinking that I would get some help. And I after 30 days of being locked in, going through therapy, body image, eating what they put on my plate to eat, I lost 8 pounds in a month. And I got in my car, and on my way back to Fort Myers, I stopped at Burger King and I bought a Whopper and fries and a Dr. Pepper. So it didn't do much for me there. But the thing that upset me was it was to promote her. And when the 3 days of commercials came out before that, it was Melissa is back, and she's living with a 300-pound overeater. And they showed me stuffing food in my face, which was a low-carb Subway wrap. But for someone like you looking at that, I could have been eating a donut. It's the way they portrayed it. And I told her to call the producer and tell him I don't like it. And he said, trust me, that's how we get the shock factor. That's how we get everybody watching the episodes. Yeah. And the news press has contacted them and told them how well I'm doing, and why don't you do an update on her, and they don't want to do that.
Of course they don't.
They want, they did that article on that 600 or 900-pound man that they had to cut out of the wall out of his room. He's been losing weight, but you've never seen him back on there.
It's the same thing with Jenny Barnett from this community, who was asked to go on several shows, and
yes.
When she told them, oh, I'm already past this point, I'm getting ready for surgery, they wanted nothing to do with her.
No, they don't.
And
society is
really
awful. It's just, Philip and I talked about that, like all these models. He was showing me 2 sisters. They were so thin, they looked like they were one of these little children that they show on these commercials trying to get, money coming in for people. I mean, there was nothing pretty about it at all. And both these girls died, from anorexia.
Mm.
But these girls growing up wanting to be models, that's what they're teaching them. You have to be thin, thin, thin.
Yeah, it's sad. Okay, we have a question in from Ron again, and he wants to know how hard was it to have 2 knee surgeries being over 300 pounds?
That was very hard, and he knows that well. I actually told the surgeon do both of them at the same time, and he said absolutely not. So I had the left one, and I did great. So I went back to the office for a follow-up, and I said, hey, let's go ahead and do the right one. And the right one was horrible. And they did not want to do the knee surgery because of my weight. I mean, you're getting brand new knees. And, I mean, I'm still having trouble with the knees. I'm still 223 pounds. So I still have, considerable amount of weight on new knee replacements. And it was very, very difficult. It was difficult to move around in the house. I had physical therapy coming into the home trying to work with me, and it was awful. I don't know how a thin person does it, let alone an obese person.
Seeing some of the struggles that you've had and how you've put your emotions out into the YouTube community, and we all know that there's haters out in the community or people that will say things that are inappropriate. We see that going on a daily basis. Some people are attacked and affected more than others, and it really is it really is a form of bullying, if you want the truth. But do you have haters on YouTube? I would assume, knowing you the way I do, you will have blocked them. But do you see that? Do you have them? Did you have them more in the beginning? Do you still have any, or what's your?
I have been very lucky that I have not ever had a negative comment, a dislike, or any kind of nasty, out of the line remark ever made to me in any of my videos. And that's why it upsets me so bad when my friends, because I consider all of you guys on YouTube my family. You know, I love each and every one of you. And to have one of my friends attacked, you know, cyber bullied, which is exactly what it is, because everyone's journey is different. Just because someone had a different surgery and, you know, has done real well with losing weight doesn't mean, you know, that someone else is going to go through that same exact thing. I mean, we don't know. Like I said, I could have researched this thing for a year, but I had no idea what I was going to go through once I had that surgery. I never imagined I'd have a second surgery, and hopefully I won't have another one, but yeah, I don't like it. I mean, you know, if you're looking at someone's video and you don't like what they're saying or whatever, just you know, unsubscribe to them and don't watch it.
We do have a comment coming in from Miss Beautiful Alicia, and she just had her gastric bypass on the 5th of June, and she's doing very well. She's having some pain and stuff, and we've watched her videos and followed her, and but she wants to thank you for being an inspiration and a great friend and giving her strength. She loves you very much.
You're very welcome. I love you too, and I'm always here for you, Alicia.
Now, I'm just curious, what drew you to YouTube and sharing your, you know, your journey on videos? What brought you there?
Actually, it was one of the girls at the at my new surgeon's office had mentioned to me that, you know, quite a few people were doing videos, you know, on their surgeries and on their journeys. And I probably looked for a couple of months at different videos to see what people were talking about, and which was pretty much everything, the good, bad, and the ugly. And I just, you know, it was like when I did the article with the news press here and the ET thing. I had so many people, including some of my family, ask me, why do you want to put all your dirty laundry, or why do you want to put your life out there, you know, like that, to have people possibly, you know, cut you down or attack you or whatever. And my thing at that time was, if I always thought I just love food. I didn't see that it was a food addiction and emotional eating and compulsive overeating. I just said, I like food. I'm big because I like food. And it was a lot more than that for me. And I said, if it will help one person, then it's worth me doing it. If one person out there hears something that I say and realizes that they have more of a problem than just loving food, and they can get help and, you know, conquer whatever it is, it was worth doing it. And I met many people. We had an eating disorder seminar at a convention center here in town, and from the news press story. And I remember when Ron and my mom got there to meet the reporter that did the story. She was here with us, lived in my house almost for 3 months. A lady walked in the door and had tears rolling down her face. And she walked up to me and she said, "You're DeAnna, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, "I just want to let you know that you're the reason that I'm here tonight." And I said, "There's that one person." And there were many more of them that came up to me during the night, but that's why I did it, to hopefully help someone else. And hopefully my journey during this, has been able to inspire and help people.
Yeah, definitely. Has there been anyone, or was there anyone at that time that you looked to that was kind of like inspiring you when they were sharing what they were going through?
The first person I came across on YouTube was Rosemary, Mama Rose. And I just sat and watched video after video after video of hers. And I just, every day when I checked my email, I was just hoping there was another video on there from Rosemary. And then I found her sister Connie, and then, it just spiraled from there. I found Rob, who I love to death. Hopefully, I'm kind of jealous, as the kids say. I'm jelly of Tina and Jules for getting to meet him. But hopefully we're going to get to do that one day soon. But I've made some wonderful friends in this community that I'll have for a lifetime.
We do have a comment coming in by Anita, and this isn't a question, it's a comment. And I want to share some comments tonight because I think comments are just as powerful as questions. And I think it's important tonight because even though Julie's not here and we're missing her, the fact of the matter is everyone that is on here tonight, me, Khalif, and yourself, and probably a lot of the people watching, have a food addiction.
Right.
Whereas Julie did not. So I'm not saying it wouldn't be the same if she was here. It's just all of us can understand tonight exactly what it means. But Anita, who is Annie from Canada, she made the comment, I've done the same thing, DeAnna, with food that I bought at a convenience store. Talking on the phone like I was asking some friends what they wanted. I totally understand the addiction.
Yeah.
So many of us have done that, and we could write a book, probably 10 chapters long, of things that we did, whether it be on the phone at the drive-thru, pretend like we were talking to someone in the back seat with very tinted windows, so the person at the window handing us the food didn't know. And it's crazy that we do that, but I think it might help us not beat ourselves up at the moment. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons that we do those things.
Right.
And, it's life for somebody with an addiction. And I wanted to share that comment because I think it is something that is important to share.
Yes, thank you. I'll tell you something else that's really helped me through this journey, and Belinda actually brought it up also, is this Keeping It Real bracelet that Rob sends everyone, anyone that requested. He just sends it to you. It's about wore out, and I can't wait to get my I Kept It Real bracelet when I get 10 pounds from my goal, which hopefully will be soon. But there's been many times where I've just sat, when Ron was at work or wasn't here. And I mean, there were times, and this was in the article, there were times when I would get upset about something and would be living here alone, Ron was not here yet, that I could ride to Publix and buy a quarter of a sheet cake and come home and take that plastic lid and grab a fork and sit there and eat that quarter of a sheet cake, crying, why am I doing this? But not caring. I was trying to feel something, with that. And I wish there was more help out there for people with food addiction and compulsive eating. I mean, I think obesity is just as bad as anorexia. And, there's so many specialty people out there that deal with that, but not with the obesity.
Well, and the weird thing is if you read up on bulimia, anorexia, and binge eating, from the studying that I've done, and I'm not a physician, but anorexia and bulimia both have a clinical diagnosis where you are diagnosed those, and there's medically things involved that can help with insurance and doctors that specialize in it. When you're a binge eater and you are not participating, or I shouldn't say participating, when you're not practicing either anorexia or binging and purging as far as the throwing up end of it, binge eating is not classified as a medical addiction, to my understanding, from all the research I've recently done on it. And, that's kind of scary to think about that.
It is. When Philip was here last week for 3.5 days with me, we talked a lot and got caught up because we don't get to see each other very often. But he was on his computer and he said, well, I'll be damned. And I said, what? He said, whatever, it's not the FDA or whatever, but it's some organization that day had recognized obesity as a disease. So now with that happening, maybe there, will be more help. Maybe more people that want to have the surgery that can't for different reasons will be able to, to have the surgery. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Khalif, I think we have time for a couple more questions if you want to get them out there, and then we'll wrap it up. And
yeah, we actually got one that came in from Leanne D. And she says, I've been trying to lose weight on my own for a while now, and I'm considering gastric bypass. My question is, how hard is it to get in your protein and water every day?
I fortunately did not have trouble with the liquids. I watched so many videos where everybody said they had to sip, take little tiny sips. And when they finally let me have something at the hospital after my surgery, I was able to drink regular like I drank before. And when I got home, the protein powders that I use and the fruit, and I always throw in a Fage yogurt with my protein mix and my fruit, has almost 50 grams of protein in it. And I can do 2 of those a day and have almost 100 grams of protein in. And I didn't have much trouble, getting the protein in. I wasn't hungry, so I wasn't getting it, through chicken and tuna and things like that. But I was able, fortunately, to get it, through my protein shakes or yogurts. The yogurts have a lot of protein. The Greek yogurts have a lot of protein in them. So it wasn't difficult for me. I know some people do struggle with it, but I didn't.
Yeah, I think that's a really good tip with the Greek yogurts and even cottage cheese. Both are things that are kind of soft, that have a lot of protein. You don't need to eat a lot to get that protein in.
Right.
So, yeah, that's really good.
well, Khalif, it looks like season 1 of Renew is coming to an end. We are out of time for this segment of the show. I want to thank DeAnna for coming on and sharing your amazing story. You're truly a lovely person, and the comments that are coming in and the questions that were asked tonight goes to prove that you're just an outstanding person within this community and you're loved so much. And
thank you. I love you guys too. Thank you for having me too. I really enjoyed being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on it. And like Rob said, you're definitely one of the nicest people, one of the most caring people in this community. And we even had some communication offline that, really proved that to me. And so I just really appreciate you.
That means a lot to me. I love you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're ready to move on to the next segment. And if you didn't see my other video, or you couldn't tell from all the silent movements I've been doing, I have a really bad cold, and I've been muting myself a lot and coughing a lot and just making sure I don't be a distraction. But we only have a half hour left, and we're going to basically go through the first season and just talk about some of the highlights, some of the things that we loved about it. Then there's a couple of housekeeping items we want to get through at the end. I do want to mention that Julie Wilson just sent me a text and said that she's home, but she's still having the technical problems, and so she won't be able to come on and join us for this last segment like we were kind of hoping she would. So if you guys don't remember, the first guest that we had was Jamoki Hill, and excuse me, sorry. For me, and I guess we'll both talk about some of the things from that show. One of the things that really stood out to me about Jamoki, well, was first that he was at his heaviest, over 600 pounds. And he would still go to the gym and still was just fighting and trying to push through being that heavy, and didn't let the fact that he was self-conscious get in his way. He just kind of broke through that. One of the things that he said was that he was tired of the journey feeling like a test, that every moment of the journey was a test. Every meal that he ate, it was like a test. Are you going to succeed or fail? Here, are you going to pass or fail? Every moment, every day that he woke up, he had to feel that way. And it was something I could really relate to. You know, it's really hard to just sit down and say, well, I'm going to eat something without thinking, wait, what are the macros? How many calories does this have? Did I have enough protein yet? Did I drink enough water? Should I drink water with this or not? There's so many things that go on. And most people that you know don't have to go through that. They just eat when they want to eat, and it's not a big deal. But for us, eating, our journey becomes a huge part of our lives. And I just really could agree with him when he said that.
I think for Jamoki, for me, it was his drive and his dedication to get healthy, no matter what he had to do. And I want to say, without trying to offend anybody, someone that is his size, to truly not consider weight loss surgery or go through with it at all, to me, is shocking. Because a lot of times when we see people that are Jamoki's size, when he started, weight loss surgery, the tool, which is an amazing tool, is something that is usually at the top of them for them to consider. And I don't necessarily know what all Jamoki's reasoning wasn't for choosing maybe not to do that. Maybe he didn't have insurance or whatever the case might be. But more than anything that stood out with me was his drive and his dedication to his health. And you still see that if you go over and check out his channel today. Amazing.
Yeah, definitely right. The next one that we had on was Jenny Burnett. And, you know, what really stood out to me about her was just her honesty with herself and with, you know, all of us who watch her, and her ability to use all of the accountability systems that she had put in place. You know, it was very, I mean, we just were talking about all the things that we can do to try to hide our addiction or to try to hide when we indulge in food or when we binge. And she went as far as to turn the camera on in the middle of a binge. You know, just to really get everything out there and to be so honest and really be as accountable as possible, and really, you know, was able to get help because she showed so many people just how bad it really was.
With Jenny, for me, I was so able to relate with her when she talked about the food addiction and that she was a food addict. And I could feel her pain. And sometimes when I watch her video, being a food addict myself, I can still see some pain that's within her. But she is making great strides and effort all the time to try to build a better relationship with food so that when those binges happen, she can manage and control it better. We don't see as much of Jenny on YouTube as we used to, and there's reasons for that. And those reasons are hers, and she has shared them on her channel, and she will make videos as she wants to. But she hasn't left. She's just pulled back some, and she's doing those for reasons to better herself. But I could relate to Jenny, and her story is amazing, and I think she is a great person in this community and can teach so many people so many things.
Yeah, I agree. The next one that we had was episode 4 was Tina Krim. And the one thing that really stood out to me, well, besides her love of kettlebells, was just that she really has two sides to her personality. You know, she can be very soft and sweet and caring and compassionate. And, you know, even her voice, you can tell the difference when she's talking about, you know, when she's talking to Charlie. And then when she, or talking about him, or then goes off and talking about lifting weights and barefoot fitness and you know, swinging kettlebells. And I got to see that a lot on the show through the questions that we asked, that, you know, she's very soft and sweet, but she's also very fiery and very determined. And, you know, she's been at this for 2.5 years, I guess probably more than 2.5 years now, and she is still just as determined and is still fighting, even though, you know, the weight has stalled and then her goals have changed, not just about chasing the number, but now she wants to be a power lifter. But so she's still determined even through that, and that really impressed me.
With Tina, she's obviously one of my very best friends, and I love her dearly. I've spent time with her when we just went to Indiana and Chicago, and I can tell you guys that she snores. Okay, I ain't even gonna lie, a little bit. Okay, all joking aside, Tina has a zest for life that some people will never find on their journey, and I adore that about Tina. And she's had so many struggles and challenges, from the loss of her mother to family issues that she's talked about on her channel when she lived in California. And through it all, she's managed to come out of it, and she's able to find a new passion that most women her age would never consider doing. Kettlebells, powerlifting, or deadlifting, or whatever this is called. I don't do that, but my best friend Tina does, and it is amazing, and she's a wonderful person, and she has a lot to offer the community. And when you look at channels like Belinda Ball versus like Tina, they're both amazing people on two separate ends, you know, on the way that just their affect and their demeanor. And they both are a huge presence within this community, and people can learn so much from all the guests that were on the show.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And one of my, I guess, favorites is Brooke LaGrasso. And when she was on the show, and she shared some of these things on her channel, but she really opened up about some of the issues she dealt with, giving birth to I think the term was ultra preemie, and also just some of the mental issues that she's dealt with being bipolar, and that she gained her weight rapidly, and she's dealt with a lot of things outside of this journey. And being a mother who now is trying to run marathons, has these two small children, and is trying to lose weight, and now she's doing swimming, and now she's weightlifting, and she just has so many things that are part of her journey, but then there's so many things outside of her journey. And I think she really shows a good balance, and shows that you can, even with a lot of weight and a lot of pressure from other things outside of just food and weight, she still is able to push forward in this journey with all those other things going on. She doesn't just use them as an excuse to say, you know what, I have these other issues going on, I take this type of medication, and I'm just not going to lose weight. But she pushes ahead even with all these other things going on. And I was just really impressed by that, to get to know everything that's going on in her life.
With Brooke, for me, she just gets it. She understands it. When I've watched her channel from where I picked up, and I don't believe I've watched every video that Brooke's ever made, but I've watched a lot of them. When you see a woman that's 6 foot tall, and, we usually see each other maybe from the chest up, sometimes the stomach up. I never looked at Brooke and thought she was overweight. When I first started watching her channel, I just thought she was a runner, and I was kind of directed over there through Julie. And I took to watching her, and then she talks about being bipolar. And obviously at this point, Brooke and I have formed a different relationship, and we Google Hangout together, and we text each other, and we've talked on the phone, and she's going to be my co-producer on the upcoming show, The Forum. She's just an amazing person, and I don't even know how to explain it other than Brooke just gets it, and that's what I love about her.
I think that's a good way to say it. Now, the next one is actually someone who, in my mind, is very similar to Brooke, and that's Lisa. And one of the things that she talked about was just setting realistic goals. She's also pretty tall. I think she's 5'10", and she said that her goal is to get to, or maybe right under, 200 pounds, and that's her goal. And you don't hear many women saying, "I just want to weigh 200 pounds." And she also talked about not looking at her journey through what someone else is doing, and doing these unrealistic comparisons. And I think that was something that's very important that all of us can take in, because we all do put our journeys out there for everyone to see. And it's very easy to look at someone who has been trying to lose weight for the same amount of time as us, or in her case, you know, she's had surgery, and she can look at someone with a similar surgery date and say, how come I'm not losing as fast as them? And she doesn't do that. And I think that's something that we can all learn from, that the only person we're competing with is ourselves. And, you know, that was something that I really took away from, you know, just going and listening to Lisa and interacting with her on the show.
Lisa, for me, the thing I love about her and that draws me to her is she calls it like it is. And there is no bullshit with Lisa, excuse my French, but there's not. She is not worried about losing a subscriber if what she says she knows is true. And a lot of people will back away from that. She won't say things to purposely hurt people's feelings or upset anybody, but like she said, her mama once said, I ain't no baker and I don't sugarcoat anything. And that is Lisa. She is a call it like it is kinds of person, and I love that about her. And there's so much to learn from Lisa, especially if you're dealing with lap band, because that would be her specialty, because that's what she has. Just an amazing person, and I love her and adore her.
And the next guest that we had was Zen Maiden 1. And one of the things that she talked about a lot was finding motivation, and how she looks at different areas of her life to find motivation. You know, it's not just a certain dress size or just the number, even though I think she made the remark that you told her she should have it tattooed to her forehead where her goal is. But you know, it's not just that. You know, she looks at, you know, her daughter. She looks at things that happened in her past. You know, she does have a look that she wants to have. I mean, there are a lot of things that keep her going and that she looks to for motivation. And I think that's important for us to not just hone in on one thing, because that one thing may not be as important to us a year from now. And if it's not there, where are we going to get our motivation from if it's some external thing? So always looking for new sources of motivation, I think, is something I really pulled away from her. And, you know, she talks about that a lot in her videos in general, but on the show we got to really hear her specifically bring those things out.
For me with Zen, Zen's someone I also know very well outside of the YouTube community. Sorry about that. And Zen is a person that does her own thing. Some people will say she's different or whatever the case might be if you watch her videos. Zen is a free spirit in my opinion, and she does what she wants to do. Now Zen does care what people think about her, I honestly believe that, but she doesn't let that keep her from doing what she wants to do. She still does what she wants to do. And I think that's one of the great qualities that I like about Zen, and the reason I enjoy my friendship with her. I will say that Zen used to be obsessed with a number on a scale. And that's why I told her to get it stamped on her forehead, because I told her nobody but you really cares about the number you want to get to. And at the end, the number doesn't get you $1 million prize reward or anything else. Zen has changed so much on that. We joke now about her getting it tattooed on her forehead still and on the side of her car and stuff, but she really has changed. And while she, you know, while she does have in her mind where she wants to be, it doesn't control her anymore. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. The next guest we had was Jess Too Big Parika at Junior. And, you know, this one was a different type of show for me because I didn't know him. I watched his videos to do research for the show, but I didn't know of his channel before the show. And I think he made a great impact on a lot of people during his show. And one of the things that he really just showed, again, sort of like Jenny, and he just talked about being honest. And he was someone who said he used to hide, food in a sack that had his hats in it because he knew his wife would never look there, and he would hide food in his car, and just all the things that he would do. And if he really talked about he really wanted to change. When he really wanted to change, he had to be honest with himself. You know, he couldn't just say, well, all I had was this, 2,000 calories of food. Why am I gaining weight? You know, he really had to look at everything that he was doing, and it, just really made me step back and say, am I truly being honest with myself in everything that I'm doing? You know, am I sneaking and grabbing something here and there, or am I not giving it 100% in my workout, and then I claim that I am later? Just to be able to give honest assessments of yourself and how much effort and discipline you're showing and putting in for the journey. And I think that was something that he showed, being towards the beginning of his journey, how important it is to just be honest and to keep examining yourself.
For me, Jess was a true food addict, through and through. And I was able to relate with him for that reason, and a lot of the things he had talked about doing, I had done myself or had pictured myself as something that I could have done. One thing that really, when we were in the green room before the show, because for those watching, there is a period where we're in what we call the green room, where we're preparing for the show. His interaction with his daughter was amazing, and his love for his family was second to none. And I was very impressed by that. I wish Jess nothing but the best. He has been absent from YouTube for a couple months, I believe, but unfortunately, we don't know the reasons why he's not on. I just hope that everything is okay, and I hope he's okay, and I hope there comes a day where he comes back to the community and starts to make videos again, because I really do think Jess has an important message, and he could really help a lot of people. And the community does miss him, because he has been missing for several weeks now.
Right, yeah. The next guest that we had was Angela Wyman, and okay, this is what I'll say about her. She talks so much about the mental part of the journey and facing her fears. And I love it because she goes so far past the journey. She doesn't just talk about, wanting to binge or, just the crazy exercises that she does. But she talks about all these different fears. She talked about how things changed when she started to lose weight, and how at some point she had to stop and say, do I even want to continue losing weight? She's always looking at what's going on in her mind and trying to fight those battles. And I think that's something that's, that's really important. I think that's something that's missing. We have so many videos and so many tutorials and so many DVDs and programs to show us how, but there's really not as much to show us why. And she really talked about, the mental aspect of fighting through this, and especially just how food would control her. And it controlled her, in a different way than it controls us, or it controlled us. So, I just looked at that and really said, there's a lot that we can learn from Angela. And, I just really pulled a lot from her, talking to her beforehand, researching for her, and even in her videos now, I still do.
A couple things stood out with Angela for me. First, she's just an amazing person who I did not know before she came on Renew. And since then, I have followed her videos and I have watched them all. Two things. She has so much dedication to her son and her daughter on making sure that they come up healthy, but not trying to control every aspect of what they do, but give them leeway to be who they are, but also put some of the restrictions that are needed to make sure they're making healthy choices. Because truth be told, I think, and I don't have children, so people will be saying, why are you talking about it? You ain't got no kids. But truth be told, common sense would lead you to know that kids pick up habits from a young age. And eating healthy and enjoying snacks once in a while instead of having snacks the majority of the day and an apple here and there is what's going to be best for the kids, is to eat healthy. And Angela does that with her children, and you can see her love and dedication to her children. And also, I love the fact that she refers to Coca-Cola as Coca-Cola, because she hated to say Coke because she didn't want people to think that she was doing cocaine. So that just cracked me up, and I love that about Angela, and she's just a wonderful person.
Um, the next guest that we had was Shantae Maxey, and okay, she was just a whole lot of fun. It's just crazy in a good way. But she works so hard and she's so dedicated. And I think the one thing about her is that, first, she's another one who's brutally honest, but never tries to be mean. She just really, in assessing herself, she's honest. But she knows how to have fun with this journey. And I think that's so important, you know, even with her working out. One of her biggest forms of cardio, well, she loves spinning, and she actually loves it. And then the other thing is playing basketball with her husband and even her son. So, you know, you just look at that, and she just really has a lot of fun with this journey. And that's what I really appreciated, seeing her being so dedicated to lose this weight and also at the same time having a lot of fun with the journey.
Lovable Curves is someone that I did not watch before she came on the show, and now I watch every video that she puts out. She is amazing, she's crazy, she's busy. She is a mother, a wife, friend to so many people, and here is someone who has learned to put herself on the front burner, leave herself up there with the people she loves standing next to her instead of putting them in front of her, so she can continue to become healthy and happy and live the lifestyle that she wants, but realize that her journey and her health is just as important as everyone else's. And she refuses to put herself on the back burner, and that's something that a lot of us fail to do.
Yeah, that's true. Sarah Spano, Less of Sarah, was our next guest. And what I loved about her is, first of all, her demeanor. She is so poised and just seems to be so under control and tempered. And you see that with every decision that she makes. She has done a lot of research. And, she doesn't just come and just spout off anything. I mean, she does a lot of research to make sure she understands what she's doing. I mean, this is her journey, and she is really taking control of it. She's just not listening to whatever a doctor says, this is what you should eat, when you should eat. She's researching it to figure out, does that make sense and why? She doesn't just leave her health in the hands of someone else. And I think that was really important. That was something I love, because I really tried to do that. But, it was just so great to see someone do it and be so articulate and so, like I said, so poised and tempered in a way that she was able to conduct herself.
I was not able to be on this show because Khalif had suspended me for one show because he said I had a bad attitude. No, I'm just kidding. I was not on the show due to technical difficulties. I was not able to get on. I did watch the show after the fact. And what I will say about Sarah is I love her dedication to the weight loss surgery community and to the YouTube weight loss community as a whole, because I think she's a true representative for weight loss surgery patients, followers, and people that have had it, because she is informative, she does do her research, and she is caring. But I also think she has a connection with people that are that are non-surgery weight loss patients within this YouTube community. And I think that is a great balance to have. And I wish I could have been on the show to ask some questions, but I'm glad that I was at least able to watch it after the fact.
All right, the next guest that we had was Amy, Living Avalon. And one thing with her is that she just has such a great perspective on the journey. She just has a fresh way of looking at, almost like, I want to say like a pure way of looking at the journey and approaching it. And she's not afraid to try new things, but she's great at taking on new things in steps. She had gone a while, well over a year, maybe 2 years before she even added exercise, just because she wanted to get the eating right. And when she got that 95%, 99% right, then she said, now I'm going to try to incorporate exercise. And she's doing things in stages or phases, and doesn't just try to overload herself with everything at once to make a change. She realizes this is a long-term journey.
Amy is someone that when I started following her, she had already had a lot of videos on, and I was not able to go back and watch all of them. And I had always questioned for a long time, and I think we talked about this in the green room, Khalif, and I know I talked about it with Julie and Tina, and maybe DeAnna Bray and a couple other people, Zen and stuff. I didn't know if Amy had had weight loss surgery or not. Not that it truly matters, because she's a person and who cares, but you do want to know how people's journey is within the community and stuff as you follow them. And I never really knew, but it wasn't a question that I wanted to ask her because it really didn't matter. But I wanted to know. If you remember, we had talked about that, and we were like, I don't know, I don't think so. Amy's an amazing person. She's a great friend. I love her dedication to her health, her life, and her parents. If you watch her, she is always talking about her mom and dad and her siblings and how much she loves them and adores them and helps them and whatever the case may be. Great family network there, and just an overall remarkable person that I'm so glad that I met.
Yeah, definitely. The next one was Justin Gill, and okay, I'm sure everybody remembers the fact that he showed up as a cartoon because there was something going on with his web camera. But the thing about him is I like to just think that he's someone who really can look like the after shot for a lot of us. And he still was able to talk about his struggles with food and with having discipline and with binging and being in control over, what he ate and even giving 100% his workouts. Something that you see someone who is just about at goal, and really his goal was to lose like 20 pounds. But in that, he still has struggles with food to show that it's not just obese people who struggle. And it doesn't just mean that when we get to wherever our goal is that we won't have these struggles anymore. And I think that was really important.
With Justin, for me, at first, I wasn't sure that Justin had anything to offer my journey or me. And that was a huge misperception on my part. It was a stereotype where I figured, oh, look at this guy. He's got a great body. He looks good. I want that. I don't have that right now. That's just going to make me depressed, wishing I had what he had. I was wrong. And my mind has changed as the journey went on. That goes to show that we change. Justin has a lot to offer. Same thing you said. Justin is someone that we can look at where we want to aim for. Justin is a machine when it comes to his working out and his dedication to it, but yet he struggles with some, drinking issues. He's talked about them on his channel. He overdrinks at times, and that's hard for him. But I love his dedication, and I would love to get to the point where I'm headed on the same path as Justin, but probably not taking all the supplements, which I joke with him about. I think he takes a lot of supplements, and that's just not my thing. But he said he's going to work on that. So Justin's a great guy, you guys. You need to check out his channel, Justin Conquering Myself 2013.
And the next guest was Marissa, and I wasn't on this show.
He got kicked out.
Yeah, right? But, one thing with her is that over and over during the show, she talked about, again, the mental aspect. And this is someone who is already, at goal. She's well over a year out from her surgery and is pretty much done trying to lose weight. She had a lot of information. And one thing that she said in her videos that she repeated on the show was, I didn't have surgery on my brain. I had surgery on my stomach. Just talking about everything that she has to do mentally and how it's still a battle, even though she has this tool to help her. She really had to win the battle in her mind in order to be successful.
Marissa is someone I think we can all learn from. She was very informative, and she is someone that I can say I can look at and see true happiness in almost every aspect of her life that she shares. Her fiance and her, and just her life as a whole. I think we can all learn something from Marissa regarding whether it's about weight loss surgery, or just being happy in life with the cards that we have at the moment.
And then next was Heather Punky Lynn. And, the great thing about her, I think, is that, she's talked about stalling for a long time on her weight loss. And even though she has stalled, with surgery, she is still living her dreams. She ran a half marathon recently. She's still being active, and she's still living a healthy life, even though she hasn't hit the weight goal that she's wanted to hit. She's still doing everything as if she's already there. So in my mind, she's already being healthy and living the life that she wanted.
With Heather, for me, she's someone who never gives up, no matter how much she's handed to deal with. Um, she's been at the same weight for a long time, and I was going to say she said a year, but I might be wrong on that, so I don't want to say that, but a long time. Yet she still goes out and does the running. She still does the things she needs to do. She's still mindful of what she's eating, always dedicated, and always will be to her health and her life journey.
And with Belinda, who was the guest last week, the thing with her, she makes such great and honest assessments of her life. You know, she is very real, very honest, and she will tell you what she ate, how she ate it, if she didn't work out or if she did. And she doesn't come on here guessing, didn't I lose what I wanted to lose? Why did I gain? She tells you exactly why and says, and this is what I'm going to have to work on. And again, it's another one that just shows how we have to be so honest with ourselves on this journey.
Belinda, to me, is someone who always keeps it real and just tells it like it is, no matter what it is. Belinda is someone who will always let you know in advance if she's going to offer too much TMI, whether it's verbally or by showing pictures. But you know what? She always keeps it real. In the pictures she shows and the things that she says that some people may consider TMI are true things that happen to people on these journeys, and they do have a spot and a place within this community. That's what this is about. Just a remarkable woman, and I am honored to call her my friend. Just a great, great person.
And of course, you know, last but not least, we had DeAnna Bray. And I think I pretty much said everything about her already, but I think she has a heart of gold. And you see that no matter what all that she's been through, she still continues to fight. And, you know, her journey and how she looks at everything should inspire all of us.
DeAnna is someone who never gives up, no matter what is thrown her way. And she will always have something nice to say about somebody, no matter what they've done to someone else or what they've done to her. And I think that's amazing.
All right, so that's our first season. And just, Rob, would you mind just repeating the announcement that you made, I think, last week about your future and everything, just in case people didn't see it last week?
Yeah, for the people that didn't hear last week or wasn't tuned in, this will be my last appearance on Renew as a co-host. I will not be returning for season 2. Starting July 12th Friday, July 12th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My own show hits the airwaves. It is called The Forum, and it is going to be a moderator, which is myself, with a panel. And we will discuss hot topic issues, current YouTube issues and events that are going on, and even global issues that may be going on. Mostly related to weight loss, but sometimes straying away from that when it is appropriate to. The show is going to be fast, it's going to be fun, it's going to be energetic, and at times controversial, but there will always be a level of respect on the forum. So I hope you guys take the time to subscribe to the forum, which I made the announcement on my channel, so you can go over and check it out, and the button is there to subscribe to it on where I announce that the forum is coming. And I look forward to seeing you guys there every Friday for the first season, starting July 12th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Thanks, Rob. And if you go to the Renew Show channel, probably tomorrow, then it'll be one of the featured channels where right now it's just me, Rob, and Julie. The forum is also going to be there just in case you, for some reason, can't find it. We'll make sure you'll be able to find it from here. We just want to thank you all for tuning in. We ran a couple minutes over, but you know, we just had to make a quick adjustment on our time and what we had to say when we realized it would just be us two. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll just remind you guys that this is the last show until September, but stay tuned to the channel because we actually are going to post updates as well as reposting all of the episodes. So in case you missed one, you'll be able to catch it and it'll just show up in your feed. So we hope you stay tuned for all of that. And there's also going to be a podcast that is going to be released probably in the summer along with that. If not, it'll be for the second season, but it will include the first season. And that's actually, I told Justin I would mention him because Justin, Conquer Myself 2013, is the one who made that suggestion. So, you know, we're going to follow through with that and make sure we do that. So I think that's it. We've covered everything. We love you guys, and just thank you again for all the support you've given us, promoting and even discussing things with us. And we'll see you guys over the summer, and we'll see you guys in July at the Forum, and we'll see you guys in the fall for season 2.